$16,900. That is what this watch costs. The Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, stainless steel, black ceramic bezel, one of the most recognized timepieces on Earth. You can walk into any authorized Rolex dealer in New York, London, Geneva, or Tokyo right now with that exact amount in your bank account and ask to buy one. The answer will be no. Not because the watch is discontinued, not because the store is closed, not because they ran out. They will tell you no, because you have not done enough to deserve it. And the strangest part is, this is not a secret. Rolex has built its entire empire on the power of that word no. So why would one of the most successful companies in history make it nearly impossible to buy its own product? The answer has almost nothing to do with watches. Rolex was founded in London in 1905 by Hans Wilsdorf. He was 24 years old and obsessed with a single idea, a wristwatch that was both precise and waterproof. At the time, wristwatches were considered jewelry for women. Real men used pocket watches. Wilsdorf ignored that completely. By 1926, Rolex patented the Oyster case, the first truly waterproof watch. In 1927, a swimmer named Mercedes Gleitze wore one across the English Channel. The watch survived. The marketing campaign practically wrote itself. But the part of Rolex that nobody talks about is what happened after Wilsdorf died in 1960. He had no heirs. So he placed the entire company inside a charitable trust called the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, based in Geneva. This means Rolex is not publicly traded. There are no shareholders demanding growth. There is no quarterly earnings call. There is no board of investors pressuring the company to increase production. Rolex answers to no one. And that changes everything about how they operate. Because when a company does not need to maximize production, it can do something far more profitable. It can restrict supply. Rolex produces roughly 1 million watches per year. That sounds like a lot until you realize the global demand for Rolex is estimated at several times that number. They could build more factories, they could hire more watchmakers, they could double production tomorrow if they wanted to. They do not want to. Instead, Rolex sells exclusively through authorized dealers. You cannot buy a new Rolex from Rolex. You must go through a network of independent jewelers who receive allocated inventory from the company. And this is where the system starts working on your psychology. Authorized dealers do not receive enough watches to meet demand, especially not the popular steel models, the Submariner, the GMT Master 2, and above all, the Daytona. Dealers are forced to choose who gets the watch and who does not. That choice is rarely random. Walk into an authorized dealer and ask for a steel Daytona. The sales associate will smile and explain there is a wait list. That wait list could be 2 years. It could be 5 years. Some people report waiting 7 years. But the wait list is not really a wait list. It is a filter. If you have no purchase history with that dealer, you will not get the call. Dealers track what you buy, how often you visit, and whether you have purchased other Rolex models in the past. Some dealers quietly require customers to buy less popular watches, a Date Just here, an Air King there, before they will even consider offering a Daytona. Others ask for a spending history of $10,000, $20,000, sometimes $30,000 on jewelry and accessories before your name moves up the list. This is the same psychological architecture as the Hermes Birkin. You do not buy the product, you audition for it. And the effect on the mind is identical. When someone tells you no, you do not lose interest. You fixate. Psychologists call it reactance. The moment freedom is threatened, desire increases. The more unavailable the watch becomes, the more valuable it feels. The longer the wait, the more emotional investment accumulates. And by the time you finally receive the call, you do not feel like a customer. You feel like a winner. That emotional inversion is where the real money lives. Because Rolex does not just profit from the retail sale. Rolex profits from the secondary market that its own scarcity creates. A steel Daytona retails for $16,900. On the secondary market right now, that same watch trades between $30,000 and $35,000. That is roughly double the retail price for a watch that is still in production. The gray market for Rolex watches is a multi-billion-dollar industry built entirely on the gap between what Rolex charges and what people are willing to pay to skip the wait. Rolex benefits from this without touching the gray market directly. Every time a Daytona sells for $35,000 on the secondary market, it reinforces the perception that a $16,900 Rolex is actually worth twice that. The gray market premium becomes proof of value. That proof drives more people into the authorized dealer system, spending more, waiting longer, playing the game. It is a closed loop. Scarcity creates demand. Demand creates a secondary market. The secondary market validates the scarcity. The scarcity is controlled by a company that answers to a charitable trust in Geneva and has no financial pressure to produce a single additional watch. But here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. Rolex spends an estimated $800 million per year on marketing and sponsorships. Wimbledon, the Oscars, Formula One, the Ryder Cup. Every prestigious event on Earth has a Rolex clock on the wall. They spend hundreds of millions telling you to want this watch, and then when you show up to buy it, they tell you no. That is not a flaw in the system. That is the system. The marketing creates desire on a massive scale. The scarcity ensures most of that desire goes unfulfilled. The unfulfilled desire drives people to the gray market where they pay double, and the entire cycle starts again. Meanwhile, the actual cost of producing a Rolex remains a closely guarded secret. The company does not publish financials. Industry analysts estimate that the raw materials in a stainless steel Rolex, the steel, the crystal, and the movement components, cost somewhere between $400 and $800. The retail markup is enormous. The gray market markup is absurd. And neither of those numbers is the real story. The real story is that Rolex has done something almost no other company has achieved. It has made the act of buying its product feel like an accomplishment. Not a transaction, not a purchase, an achievement. And achievements feel earned. Things that feel earned feel valuable. Things that feel valuable are defended, which means people who finally get their Rolex become its most passionate advocates. They defend the wait list. They defend the pricing. They defend the dealer system. Because admitting the system is designed to manipulate them would mean admitting their achievement was manufactured. That is the engine, not the movement inside the watch, the movement inside the buyer's mind. Rolex does not sell watches. It sells the feeling of being selected from a list of people who wanted the same thing and were told no. And as long as that feeling has value, the company owned by a charitable trust in Geneva will keep doing exactly what Hans Wilsdorf designed it to do over a century ago, making time and making you wait for it.